good question came up on Facebook the other day. Why in the Barry Harris system do we think about the minor 7 flat 5 chord not as a half diminished or minor 7 flat 5 chord, but actually as an inversion of the minor 6th? F minor 6 instead of D minor 7 flat 5, or 4 minor 6 instead of 2 minor 7 flat 5. That was a good question, I thought. Go look at Pat Martino, go look at Alan Holdsworth, right? They all do this, right? And I think part of the reason why they do it, and this is the same reason that we do it in the Barry Harris system, is that you probably have more things to play on a minor chord than you do on a half diminished chord. You know, that is an approach they use with great effect. For instance, if you go and look at my Nuages video, that's something he did, and we know he did it because he talked about it in masterclasses. He said, here are my 10 most useful scales, and he wasn't really talking about the modes. So this ties into something, before I talk about the Barry stuff specifically, this ties into something from the Mick Goodrick book, The Advancing Guitarist, excellent source book that it is. And on page 62, he talks about the difference between parallel and derivative thinking. And just to cut it really short, derivative thinking is when we're doing this conversion thing. So A minor 7 flat 5 becomes C minor 6th. And parallel is when you just say it's an A minor 7 flat 5. So most people learn one way or the other, I think. I think a lot of people learn the parallel way. And I would say, though, that the derivative way is probably more traditional because it ties into things like chord subs and the fact that, you know, there wasn't really a concept in the minor 7 flat 5 back in the bebop era, because all the theorists of that time, just like Barry, talk about the minor 6th chord with the 6th and the bass. Now, what I have to explain to you is why that's useful in practical terms, and that's fair enough. So for instance, let's take what is this thing called Love, and we're going to take these chords. It's a minor 2 5 1 in F minor, and then a minor 2 5 in C, but going to an unexpected C major 7th chord, so it's like a tierce de Picardy if you want to look at it that way. Classical term there, right? So it's a surprise major chord, right? So we can just take these half diminished chords and we can swap them in for minors. And this is not a Barry Harris thing, by the way. I've seen people do this in like modal theory and things, right? So it's not specifically a Barry Harris thing. So we turn that G minor 7 flat 5 into a B flat minor 6. That means we can play B flat minor scale stuff on it. We can do the same thing, just move it up a minor 3rd. So what I've done there is I've just played B flat minor, D flat minor, F minor, right? You know, if you just play it in triads, it'll sound like this. Maybe we've added 2 in. We've already got a hip line happening there, right? Just by doing that. So I don't think that's a Barry Harris thing. I think that's just a playing jazz thing, to be honest with you. I've seen those people talk about that. Let's do the same thing with the C minor major bit. So we go, that comes F minor. So I'm not using full scales here, just arpeggios with added notes. And I would suggest doing that as a start for anybody. You know, Jordan Clemens talks about stuff like this, for instance. It's a lovely sub, and you end up not playing too many notes that way as well, which is quite nice. So, it's nice singable lines. And then, and that's definitely one way I would approach things. But it's not specifically a Barry Harris thing. In fact, the Barry Harris thing, you know, you can use the minor 6th diminished scale, for instance. So I could use that on the B flat, maybe something like this, and then maybe change to D flat, and then let's move to F minor. Sounds great. Let's do the same thing for the other progression. So that's really nice, isn't it? And then the chord that nobody likes to play, that one. That's just using drop 2s, right? You can even turn that sort of thing into lines. So and then let's do it for the Other one. We worked on that in Barry's class as well. I mean, I think it all sort of leads to a much more fluent approach, because I certainly know more things to play on minor, right? And the other conversion that we do in the Barry-Harris system is we turn things into dominants. And we really like the dominant scale. Loads of cool things we can do with the dominant scale. So, for instance, if I take the first chord of, what is this thing called, which is G minor 7 flat 5, I'm going to turn that into an E flat 9 chord, which has got the half diminished chord, but also an E flat bass. So that means we can play E flat dominant. So, and we have loads of cool things we can play in E flat dominant. If I just play a straightforward dominant bebop scale, as it's called outside of Barry circles, but we just call it one of the added note rules. We can go and we run it down to the third of C7, up the diminished seventh arpeggio. Do the same thing with the with the other one, right? And that's nice. I mean, might take you a little while to get used to the conversion, but really it's just a backdoor dominant, so it's down a step. So if we're going to F minor 6, we'll have the E flat 7, which is down a step, right? And then diminished a half step up, and then F minor. So that's my kind of default in a way. Let's use the honeysuckle rose lick. Yep. Let's do the same thing for the other one. Okay, and then winding those into the F minor and the C major scales respectively. Let's do something a little bit more elaborate. So we can go. Let's take. Is it Scrapple with the Apple? This one? Terrible with names. Let's put it up here. Let's do the same thing. We're going to use now a extended Barry-Harris added note scale. So this thing, it's on what's called Barry-Harris chromatic scale. I think Chris Parks calls it that. That's an E flat. Same. Yeah, I wouldn't think of playing any of those things if I was thinking about half diminished chord. Maybe you're better at your Locrians and whatnot, but that's how I think of it. That's how I do it. Let's do a 5-4-3 phrased. I always really like this one. I don't really like the 2 very much, but I like the other ones. So this is that's a E flat dominant phrase, right? You don't even have to play the diminished if you don't want to. And then the next one. So it gives you loads of things to play on those progressions, right? You never run out of stuff to play. Like Grant Green and people use this sort of thing all the time. The other thing that you can do is use voicing. So if you go back to the minor conversion, and if I've got a good minor voicing like this one, I mean it's a minor 6/9, it's hardly anything super fancy, but we can put that into the context. So let's have that going on. We might need to move it to a different position. So for instance, if we're going to do it on B flat, we need to put it up here. And that's this one. Nice. I wouldn't think of playing that on a half diminished chord, would you? Maybe you would, I don't know. Maybe you're cleverer than me. I mean, it's not hard to be cleverer than me, but very cool, right? I'm going to take any of these sorts of borrowed note voicings from the minor 6th diminished as well. So for instance, if I've got like this business and I borrowed that note, it's on F minor 6th. Let's try it on this one. So that would be, this. I mean, these are fairly commonplace actually, aren't they? And then I can put it all the way through that progression like that. And then next one. And then, yeah. It's basic stuff really. I mean, you can also borrow the note below, so maybe do that. On F minor sixth, which would be this. Again, a quite common voicing, but you haven't done like sort of things like this to apply it consistently through the chord progression on all the minors, then it's worth doing, right? So anyway, I hope that answers the question as to why you might want to convert these things. There's lots of possibilities for applying stuff you already know in new and exciting ways. Now, of course, it's not the only way. You don't have to think just one way about music. You can move from one way to another. In fact, if you're really good at playing half diminished chords, you could convert all of those chords into half diminished chords. You could say, which I kind of have done. Instead of F minor sixth, play D minor 7 flat 5. But I would say it's been really useful for me to develop my knowledge. There's a video that Isaac Raz just put out, by the way, about how to do all of this stuff to inner urge, which is quite fun. So go and check that out, including a very cool way to play a major 7 sharp 9 chord, no less. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Hope that was useful.